So with that, Kamal is going to introduce our first Power Talker, Kelle.
Okay, so Kelle is a second-year medical student at Western University of Health Sciences College of Osteopathic Medicine of the Pacific and attends the Los Angeles campus. She graduated from the University of San Diego in 2016 with a bachelor's degree in behavioral neuroscience. She then moved to New York City through Teach of America, where she served as a sixth grade special education science teacher while also pursuing a master's degree in adolescent special education from Hunter College. After 3 years in the classroom, Kelle moved back to California to complete a postbaccalaureate program at UCSD. Through this program, she linked directly into her medical school. Kelle is an active duty member of the United States Navy and after graduating hopes to pursue a surgical residency. In her free time, she enjoys cooking, following politics, and listening to true crime podcasts. So everyone, please welcome Kelle.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. Thank you for indulging me in what's going to be me sharing something that was a pretty big personal trauma that had happened this year. This is the first time I'm going to speak publicly about it. So thank you for creating this space. I do want to offer a small trigger warning, just because it might help just one person. There will be some themes of animal violence in my talk. So if that's something that is tough for you, I welcome you to mute the talk. So I did what any sane person would do 2 nights before my microbiology final. And I decided to get a 10-week-old Australian Shepherd puppy. As if you know them, they just have no energy and require no attention. About 2 months later, she's freshly vaxxed, out of quarantine, ready to go. And I begin just a regular Tuesday morning the way I normally would by bringing her out for a walk. Her name is Willow, by the way. And it's important to the story to know it was laundry day. And I was wearing the most heinous outfit you can imagine. To paint a picture, I was wearing dirty ankle height rain boots with a cropped exercise pant 3 sizes too small and a 50-year-old sweater from my grandma that just said Guinness on it. This becomes important later. Walked out front of my building. I live on campus. It's a place I feel safe and warm. And I took Willow on our normal route. And I had noticed what I can only describe as a girl 90 pounds soaking wet holding Fluffy, the 3-headed dog. It was 3 big black dogs on a leash, which I'm going to make up a word, trifurcates into 3. And I decided to kind of, go a little bit off to the left, but I figured that they were just there to see the on-campus vet. There's a veterinary school at our school as well. And I kept walking and we bridged a gap a little bit. And I just kind of looked over my shoulder just because I just couldn't believe just these big dogs on one leash. I thought, wow, how controlled. And when I went and I turned and I looked over my shoulder, I noticed that the dogs were charging me and my puppy. And they were about halfway the distance between the 100 to 200 yards that had separated us. So with about 2 seconds reaction time, I just picked Willow up and I held her over my shoulder. And the next second, the dogs had clamped on to my arm and my hand. And from my bio, or from the pleasure of getting to know a few of you, you know that I'm in preclinicals, but I'm gung-ho for surgery. I mean, I just can't imagine a force that'll change my mind. And the dogs were clamping down to the bone and what I can only describe as my surgical hand. That's Willow. She wanted to chime into the story. And I knew that the second that she was on the ground, that they were going to kill her. And I happened to see, while I was holding her and while I was in searing pain I've never known, that a group of, I want to say 10 vet students had been walking out of the vet building. And so I screamed just a piercing scream, and I begged for help and I held on. And I held on for as long as I could. I knew that it was doing damage. I knew it was happening. I knew that my career might be gone, but I held on. In those few seconds I was able to hold on, saved her life. People were able to get over there to her. I had only been able to see her face in the attack. The dogs were covering her, the people were covering her, and all I could do was see her face and hear her cry. And I was going in and out of consciousness. And eventually they had gotten the dogs off and taken her back, but all I had ever seen was her face. And so I thought, she's dead. Like there's no way she survived that. And it wasn't for hours later that I had found out that she was okay. In the moment I had asked someone, is she gonna live? And they said, we're not sure. She did end up surviving because of the heroism of the people there. The important part of the story is then I was rushed to the emergency room in an ambulance and the worst outfit you can imagine at a hospital that I'm going to be rotating at. Made a really good impression. So what's the moral of the story here? I've realized the difference a few seconds can make. I'm a New Yorker at heart. I'm all about the hustle and the bustle, getting through things quickly. How many Anki cards can I do in a day? Rush, 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 go, go, go. But I've realized the power of a few seconds and what they can do. And what does that mean for me? And what does that maybe mean for you? It's, for me, staying in the room with the patient for just a little while longer. At the end of your encounter, if you just wait before you go off to chart or whatever it may be, ask your patient what else is going on. And really, not in the OSCE sense, really genuinely ask and wait. They might tell you something that they really wanted to tell you the whole time. What if you take them? We know how quick you can do a treatment. Do a little OMT on them. You might do more for their pain then than you would have in anything else you had in your assessment and plan beforehand. And I'll close with a quote from a mentor of mine who some of you may know, Joseph Skrzyjewski, head of medical education at the Betty Ford Hazelton Center. And he loves to tell the story of a mentor of his who was a physician for 40 years, just a powerhouse of a doctor. And Joseph asked him, if there was one thing in your career you could have done differently, what would it have been? And he said, Joseph, I need to go home and think about this. So that's how you know it was going to be good. And the next day he came to Joseph and he sat down and all he said was 2 minutes. Joseph's like, what? He goes, 120 seconds. At the end of every patient encounter, I would have sat down on my stool, looked at them and said, what else? And sat there for those 2 minutes. And he said, when you do that, that is when the magic happens. So never, ever take for granted what your time and your skills and your knowledge can do for your patient if you just hold on. Thank you so much.
Absolutely incredible talk.